so you've got a lot more chance of them growing when they start off like this. Hey guys, welcome to Wild Hope Homestead. I'm just starting my pepper seeds for the season, and I thought I'd show you guys how I do it, since it's a little bit differently than just putting them in potting mix or seed raising mix. So what I do is I sew my peppers onto wet paper towels, and then here's one I've done already, and then inside plastic bags and put them in the hot water cupboard where it's warm, so they germinate in the moisture. So I use these Ziploc bags that are a sandwich size. It doesn't really matter what size you use, just depends how many you want to fit in. I do usually two varieties in each bag, because you don't want to get them too mixed up, and that's just kind of what fits nicely. So first up, I get a paper towel, just one paper towel. These ones are quite thick, so I'm going to be ripping them in half. And then I'm going to wet it into the tap until it's just wet enough, and then I squeeze out any kind of extra water, so it's slightly dripping but not super wet, otherwise the seeds can go mouldy. Excuse the dirty dishes in the sink, we've got a lot going on here. So first I fold the paper towel in half, and then I'll just show you again. Wet it just a little bit like that, and then squeeze it out, mostly out, and then I just need to unravel it. So there we go, we've got the half paper towel, and I'm going to rip this one in half because I'm not doing masses of seeds of each variety. I've got quite a lot of varieties, so it's actually easier to rip in half when it's wet. So a little bit more straight. There we go. And now I'm going to put these down on my plate, and I'm going to do one variety of peppers on each half. So first variety, and I'm just going to lay the seeds along. I usually do, it depends how many seeds I'm sowing, but I usually do 2 rows. Don't want too many of these ones, so 6. We'll do 12 of these ones. Put the rest back in the packet, try not to get them wet. And then I'm just going to fold the paper towel in half again, so it's covered top and bottom. So the seeds are just, oops, I'm going to move them if I open it now. Sitting inside this nice little envelope here. And then I'm going to put them in, I'm going to label my paper bag first, so I know what's what. This one is shishito, and then we're going to do yellow banana on the other side. And the date. Peppers can take a week or more to germinate. They're slow germinators, so it's good to know. The main thing you have to watch out for when you're doing this method is that they don't go mouldy. I started off doing this method with pumpkin and squash seeds and cucumbers, and then tried it on peppers one year because they are tricky to get to germinate sometimes, and they worked really well. So I just keep doing it this way. And when they germinate, you see like a little root starting to grow, one little root out of each seed. And then you can easily see which ones have germinated, whereas if you do them in a seed tray or pots, Often you'll get, especially if it's not warm enough, ones that just don't grow, and so it's less wastage this way. That's the main reason I've kept on doing it this way. It can be a little bit fiddly if you've got small seeds, but pepper seeds aren't too small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I'll check them after a few days, and once a few of them have got, usually they don't all germinate at the same time, that's the trouble with the peppers. Once a few of them have got a root, I'll get them potted up. You don't want to wait too long. I mean, the pepper roots are slow, a lot slower than pumpkins anyway, but to start getting them potted up once they have a root into seed trays or pots. And it's just kind of like pre-germinating, so you've got a lot more chance of them growing when they start off like this. Let's turn it around just in case they open up for some reason. Carefully slide them into the bag, and then I just like to kind of pinch the bag with one hand while I close it to get air in it. I think it just helps having a bit more air in there. And then I'm going to put all of my little bags into the hot water cupboard. So now I just have to wait for them to germinate, and I'll check them in a few days and see how they go. It's the start of August now, so I like to get them started early because they do take a wee while, the peppers. I meant to start them a week ago, but I didn't quite get there, so I'm getting them done now at the same time as I'm going to start my tomatoes. So the tomatoes I'm just going to start as normal in seed trays. Yeah, the next things I do in the paper towel hot water cupboard method will be cucumbers and pumpkins and squash, so that won't be for a wee while. The sun is actually glorious today. I've got a lot of things to do. I kind of just want to be in the garden. Got weeding to do and dealing with all the pruning branches and stuff, but at least got to try and get some of these seeds done while Scarlett's still asleep. So yep. I haven't planned how many to do of each tomato. I'm probably just going to do similar. I've got the same varieties I think as last year. There's just so much going on. I'm just going to sow enough. Not enough, I mean at least enough, and yeah, probably more than we need. So if I've got extras I can always sell them or give them away to people. We're going to start with Amish paste because that's always one of our favourites. 15 of those is probably enough. It's always hard to know how many, because your germination rate, well, it's very unusual to get every single thing germinate. It depends on the quality of your seeds, where they're from, how old they are, how they've been stored, and then the growing conditions as well. Next is black crumb. We bought those back last year because we missed them, even though they don't do so well in our humid climate, but unfortunately last season was not the greatest season to bring them back because we had so much rain, unprecedented amounts of rain, and so the poor black crumbs did not do that well and got diseased quite quickly. But trying again because we do like them, they're so tasty. So yeah, I do like to write how many of seeds I've sowed. That helps keep track of them. Brandywine pink. Don't want to do too many of those because that's another one that does tend to succumb to disease a bit more quickly. Oh, this is an older packet. And then we've got Gardener's Delight. I don't want to do too many of those, so I'm going to do these two varieties in the same thing. So Brandywine, I probably went a bit overboard as black crumb, but anyway. Try and choose the biggest seeds. 6 and probably 6 Gardener's Delight. That should give us enough. If you go and water them from the top, it's not the best idea to put more than one variety in together, or if you're not good at labelling. But I like to bottom water mine in a tray underneath these little trays, fill it up with water so the seeds won't get disturbed. Next up is Golden Grape, which is a cherry tomato. I don't want too many of them, but they were probably the variety that held out the best against all the blight last season with all the rain, so that was good. They're such little seeds. Let's do 7. And then we've got Olga's Round Golden Chicken Egg, which I just call Olga's. Olga's with an O. Tipped out 6, so I might as well do 6 of those. Now we've got King's Gold, which was one of our favourite yellow ones. Sometimes I do 3 rows, but not 3 different varieties in one. That would be asking for trouble. I'm just going to cover them all with a thin layer of seed raising mix. Just flatten it out very gently. I've got a couple more trays to do. So these ones can go into a bottom watering tray. For my flowers and herbs, I like to use 6 cell packs. I've got a couple of different kinds of ones. So I'm going to do flowers, the calendula and the sweet alyssum, and those coriander. These ones are a little bit taller I'm just going to do some coriander in these ones and some in these ones. And then I can just plant them straight in the garden, so there's not so much root disturbance, whereas with the tomatoes that I'm starting in here, once they're big enough I'm going to prick them out into their own little 5 centimetre pots. So next up is Moon Glow, which is a good yellow one too. And then Oxheart Dalmatian, which is a good paste, meaty paste kind of tomato. Good for soups. We like to have a variety of different tomatoes because it makes the soup yummy. The tomato soup that Steve made from last year's tomatoes was actually really nice. It's sort of a, I don't know, a more sweet flavour or something. The mixture of yellow and red tomatoes. And all the yellow varieties I'm growing are ones that have high tetracis lycopene levels, which is a good lycopene that's more easily digestible for the body. So, and it's supposed to have anti-cancer fighting properties and things. It's not all yellow tomatoes that have it or have such high levels of it, but these ones have been tested. This isn't all the ones I have, but these were our favourite ones from the ones that we've tried. Always good to have good nutrition. When tomatoes are cooked, they're more easily digestible, but for raw eating, it's nice to have a lot of yellow ones. You just know that they're going to be a little bit better for your body, and they do taste good too. I'm going to plant the calendula seeds in one of these little seed trays because they should be easy enough to prick out. They're very funny, curious looking seeds. Kind of curly swirly. How much calendula do I want? I never have too much calendula, right? Actually do 3 rows. Yeah, I'm growing calendula. The main reason I'm growing calendula, and I found it hard, like I was looking for seedlings last season, but a lot of the seedlings were kind of fancy ones, or different coloured ones, or mixes, and I really just want a good basic calendula to grow for medicinal uses. So to make calendula infused oil, because I started making my own calendula balm, and also just for the bees, but mostly so I can harvest my own flowers and dry them. Sweet Alyssum. And I'm sort of in 2 minds. It's just because they're such tiny seeds. It's not really, I don't know if it was a good idea to put them into one of the little trees where I have to prick them out. It's probably better just to put them in a cell pack like this where they can be left here until they're actually planted. Let's see how tiny they are. So I'm not exactly going to be able to get 1 in each, but just sprinkle a few, try and get them wide, and they're so tiny I'm not even going to cover them. I'm just going to gently poke them down a little bit so they're in good contact with the soil, I mean the media, the seed raising mix. Right, coriander. I'm going to do coriander in these two different cell trays and see. It probably won't make much difference, but one's taller and one's a bit wider. Whoops. Roly-poly coriander. So I'm going to put 3 in each one. And because they're quite nice and big, I can kind of do them in a triangle, space them out a little bit. Generally when you buy herbs in little pots or seed trays, they will have a few seeds sprinkled in each one anyway, because you can't risk having an empty tray, because that's not very profitable, is it? When I used to work in a nursery, we used to just start herbs in little pots. We had just a few kinds of herbs that we grew. We just sprinkle a small pinch in each one. And that way at least something's bound to grow. When you're writing labels, it's a good idea to use pencil, because pencil stays on a lot better than marker. Marker fades in the sun. Done. A good use for old meat packets. Drip trays. And I'm going to put all these seed trays under my cold frame. Hopefully I've got space. I'm supposed to be planting all my onions, but I haven't quite gotten all that done yet. So I've got them in here, all ready to be watered. Those are the Egyptian walking onions that I need to plant. Those were from the bulbils and small bulbs. I did plant a few, but I've got a lot more there. And I've also got to plant out the brown onions, which I haven't quite gotten to. That's another job for today. Got my elderberry cuttings growing here, hopefully growing. And I've got my mint and horseradish over here. And the mint is just starting to grow some little shoots. And the horseradish over here. Is very slowly doing something. How are you doing, chickies? Oh, some little ones down here. How are you guys doing? Is everybody getting along okay? Who knows? Those little ones seem to be doing alright. Getting around all over the place now. In their little groups. They have a little friend group. It's like tiny little chickens, aren't you? Little mini chickens. Our escapees into the garage. Whoops. Can't go back to your old home. Carry on. Carry on. Sorry. Oh, goodness. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Choose to grow hope, and we'll see you next time. Bye.